Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 3 of season 1 of the STEM Heroes podcast. I'm your host, David Young. Real quick on who we're talking to today. Today, we're talking to Adrian Mayo. He has a great and intriguing story of being a CDL driver, former clown at the circus, now passionate STEM educator. What a story he has. One of the most moving podcasts we've done as far as him being able to help kids, especially some kids who maybe don't typically have the chance to interact with drones or technology, or maybe have a more difficult time with it, and seeing them succeed. Literally brought Adrian to tears in this episode. So really cool, really moving stories. Can't wait for you to hear more from him about what he's doing with his drone camps and how he's impacting kids' lives. He is a true STEM hero. And as always, before we dive into the podcast, if you haven't listened to the other episodes where I talk about t-shirts, if you want the world's coziest t-shirt, all you got to do is leave a review on Apple Podcast for this podcast, screenshot it, send it to me, David at Drone Launch Academy, and I will get you out a free shirt just for taking the time. You can leave whatever review you want, just an honest review. That's all I got for the announcements. Let's dive into the podcast with Adrian. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the STEM Heroes podcast. I'm David Young, founder of Drone Launch Academy. And I have with me here the esteemed Mr. Adrian Cortez Mayo Sr. I had to run that through a few times before we started this because I kept saying one of the words wrong. I think I was messing one up. Anyways, a very patient man. I know that for sure already. So, Adrian, thanks for being with us.
I'd love to be here. I'm glad you had me on.
Yeah. Well, this is a newer podcast. This is only, I think, the third episode we're recording. But the goal of the podcast is to provide helpful content for school administrators, teachers, students, anybody that works with kids looking to get into careers that have technology involved. So we focus a lot on drones, some robotics, maybe some aviation, some autonomy, stuff like that. I'm a part of a drone education company, so I know the most about drones, but I'm happy to be educated on other things. But I'd love to hear about you, Adrian. Tell us a little bit about yourself and then why you're here on the podcast and what you're excited about talking about today.
Okay, great, great. I'm glad to be a part of this. It started in June of 2018. I was invited to an after-school program where it was a STEM was involved, the robotics and drones. And what really caught my attention was the excitement, the young people. They were so excited about these drones flying in the air and it was getting all willy-nilly. And so I was like, this is something that I want to personally learn and teach as well. My background is computer science. And
Okay.
so drones came kind of natural as far as the programming and coding. And I realized that a lot of it just a curiosity to learn more. I did my first workshop at a local library. This was March 2019, just before the pandemic really
Okay.
escalated. And
And what part of the country are you in, by the way?
right, I'm over on the East Coast, Richmond, Virginia. I'm originally from Maryland, but we moved
Okay.
down here to Richmond. Yes.
My brother lives right outside of Richmond, so I love that area. Yeah.
Yeah, we moved down to Richmond, and I'll tell you, it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place. I like the scenery.
So you're in Richmond, Virginia. You went to one of these things. So 2019.
I went to the after school program in Maryland. The kids were so excited. They was, learning about drones, and I was fascinated. I was, I was thrilled, and so I knew I wanted to learn more. I did a lot of research online, watching different videos and stuff like that. But it just wasn't enough. It wasn't hands on, and that's basically what I was looking for. Some hands on. So in May of 2019, I did a workshop before I even went to DJI. Did a workshop and it was elementary and middle school students. And it was so overwhelming. I had so many kids asking me a lot of questions that I said, well, I'm gonna have to get back with you. I was limited on the information that I knew to share with them. So I wanted to pursue it more. And online, they had a school, the academy was DJI and the Photo Academy. And it was a
Okay.
2 weekend event. I went online, I registered, and I went. And that's where it just took off. Being in that class, learning about not just drones, but learning about the different applications that drones are being used in commercial and military. That's when I realized then I had a love for it. I had the love for the knowledge, able to teach, able to get some feedback, what to do, what not to do. And so from then on, I started teaching more at the library. And this was
Okay.
free to the public. Yeah, free to the public. And so every Saturday, man, kids was coming out by the dozens. And so the librarian, they put me on payroll. I said, whoa.
So real quick, what do you do for your full-time job? Are you in education or what?
Well, believe it or not, I am a CDL tractor trailer driver.
No way. Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So you just like you did this and I'm
yeah,
like, I'm into drones. I want to just spread the knowledge and spread it around.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had to pay the bills. So that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. The tractor trailer
Okay.
came in because I love to travel. And then also learning when I got my CDL Class A license, learning about the commercial vehicles. And that also played a major part in me wanting to learn more about drones because
Mhm.
of now with the technology that we're using today in the trucking industry, it has grown. It really is. You're talking about cameras, you're talking about infrared, you're talking about radar, all this. And so I was able to use that same concept, the same with my drones. So when I go on and talk about what it's like to learn about drones, I kind of used it analogy. It's like learning to drive a big truck. First, you get scared, you're nervous. But once you learn the fundamentals of it, you
Mhm.
kind of get used to what it takes to be a good driver, safety as well. That helped a whole lot. And so my teaching came about because I have a love for teaching. And so whenever I get a chance to teach, do after school programs. Right now, I'm working on one of the local colleges and I'm doing adult continuing education. I'm teaching a course in the introduction to basic drone.
Worked yourself right into a new career path just by picking up
Oh,
some good hobby
yes,
stuff.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. Let me say, when I first started out, a lot of people knew about drones, but it was basically a military. So when they didn't know too much about the commercial end of it, a lot of people didn't know about it. And so I didn't really have a platform. So I
Mhm.
was like really doing whatever I can when I can and sharing my knowledge. And it really started right after the pandemic, 2022 is when I was invited to do a drone to be an instructor at a drone camp for the Tuskegee Airmen in
Okay.
Hampton, Virginia.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
When I was invited, I was like, "Come on, you guys serious?"
How did they find you?
Well, actually, I was at the event, and the
Okay.
East Coast president of the Tuskegee Airmen, he saw me. He was like, "Man, we would love to have you to come down to visit." Any input about drones because we have middle and high school students that want to learn about drones at the drone
Yeah.
camp. And
Yeah.
so, I said, "Sure." So I came down and I gave me a little input and stuff like that. The next year, 2003, they said, "Man, we want to bring you on board. We want you to actually be the instructor." And so, yeah, last year we had 42 students
Okay.
learning the fundamentals of drone flying, the policy, the recommendation, all that you need to get started, and
Great.
also about safety. That went along. And now they asked me to come back this year, which is in June 24th to the 28th. It's only 1 week. And so this time we're expanding. So we have some people from NASA that's going to be there. People from NASA that's going to be there.
Yeah,
So
if you're watching the video version of this, he's got, you look like you're ready to go jump in a Mars rover or
yeah,
something. You're
yeah, that's
like,
true.
you're ready to
Yeah,
get
well,
up there.
this date back 2007. I went to the drone camp, and I'm sorry, I went
Okay.
to the space camp back
Okay.
in 2007.
Yeah, you look legit, man. I should have put something a little more, drone. I gotta start black. I guess this is a drones robotics conference T-shirt, but that's
Oh
not
my
as cool as
goodness.
yours.
Well, I'm working on one of them. That's my next project. So this year we want to expand. I'm gonna be working with two retired lieutenant colonels from the Air Force. Yes.
Beautiful.
So I'm gonna be getting a lot of information, feedback from them, where to take this to that next level to really integrate drone application on a much higher level so that the younger people can decide to go to college and make a career, even work for
Mhm.
NASA if they choose to, get into the engineering part of it. And another thing that I'm doing too, I'm hosting, this is a drone safety day. Drone
Yeah, the
safety
FAA.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, April the 20th, April the
Yeah.
27th.
Yeah. Is that a Saturday?
Yeah, that's on a Saturday. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
I'm doing two. I'm doing on the 20th this weekend and then on the 27th. And so,
Okay.
what it's all about is about getting the community, neighbors more familiar about drones, especially when our young people, when they buy drones and they flying it in the neighborhood and people worrying about safety, worrying about the
Yeah.
privacy. This is going to teach a lot of the young people what it is to be responsible and
Yeah.
operate one of these drones. So I'm going to be hosting that.
Is that in the Virginia area where you are?
Yes, yes, yes. It's going
Uh-huh.
to be, matter of fact, it's actually going to be 2 doors from my house. There's an
Okay.
open lot. Yeah. There's an open lot. It's about a quarter acre. And so we're
Cool.
going to use that area. And then also, too, I have a drone simulator. So I'm going to be also using that as a teaching tool as well for, new beginners.
What kind of specific drone simulator do you like to use, or do you not have a preference?
And I don't have a preference, but I do use the RF-95S.
You're
Okay,
like, I don't have a preference, but this one.
yeah. And not just specifically drone, but aircraft. You talk about helicopters, airplanes,
Mhm.
jet engine. That variety will give them more of that extension of knowing more about flight. And so
Yeah.
basically,
Well,
so I
yeah.
want to be able to get across not just drones, but also about other aircraft.
The thing I like, I got my pilot's license and I'm glad to be a drone pilot because what I like about the drone pilot part is your feet are on the ground the whole time. And if the drone
Yes.
crashes, you don't die. You know what I'm saying? So, although, you can't
Yes.
say pilot too.
Yeah.
But no, I was just thinking about what you said earlier about how, it opens up windows into other, engineering and you said they can go to NASA. There's just so many. It's not like if you get started in drones that, okay, well, I got to find a specific drone career. I mean, it's used in real estate, construction, surveying, agriculture, right? It's just, it can link into so many different
Oh,
cool
yes,
pathways and
yes, yes,
opportunities. So
yes.
things you're doing during the summer, it sounds like it's like a summer type of program
Yeah,
that a bunch of kids will come to and you got other
yes.
partners involved. How do you recruit the kids? How do they find out about it? And what age ranges is it? I'd just love to hear more info about it.
Basically, I use Facebook, Instagram. Matter of fact, right now, there's a gentleman named David Murphy, and he's the editor of a paper called the National Black Unity News. His newspaper publication is in all 50 states. And so
Okay.
he's allowing me to use that platform to advertise. And so
Cool.
this year I might have to quit my job, because I'm telling you, it's getting to that point where the response that I'm getting, the invitation that people ask me to come out, not to skip the subject, but just Monday, I was at a middle school for career day. Asked me to come out to bring some drones out, talk about
Mm.
what it's like to own and fly a drone. And so I had 300 middle school students that we were in the cafeteria. I'm going through the motion. I just had one of my drones just to hover, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say about 24 inches from the table. And so we got into the discussion about different applications, jobs, careers. I was so impressed. One young girl, she was taking notes and she was actually saying,
Oh,
come here.
middle
Yes.
school. Okay. All right.
I said, yeah. I looked at her, wow. So she was taking notes, and that inspired me because that
Yeah.
let me know that, you know what, where I was thinking that they might not be fully interested as I am, but that
Hmm.
showed me that, hey, they
Yeah.
want this information.
You know what's a fun game you could play? We did this. So my kids, I got 4 boys, 1 girl, and my kids are more like elementary school, upper elementary school. So they had like a, kind of a career day thing and say, "Hey, do you want to come out and, show the kids some drones and stuff?" And we're talking like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, bunch of kids. Usually 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are very well behaved, they're organized, they're calm. No, just kidding. So I get
Yes.
out there with these
So,
drones
yeah.
and they thought it was cool, right? So we're teaching about the drones and things like that. But we played a game where we did a search and rescue competition. So we
Oh,
had 2
yes.
drones. We split them into
Yes.
2 teams, and we took 1 teacher and 1 student. We put the student in like a reflective vest, and he had to go
Mm.
hide somewhere on campus. It was mostly outdoor type of campus because we're in Florida. So he went and hid somewhere, and
Uh-huh.
then we had a competition to see which drone team could find him first and stuff.
Oh, my
And they
goodness.
were they were all over that. They loved it.
Similar to what I did, we had a scavenger hunt, different items they had on their color, they would have to find with the drones.
Oh,
And
that's
then
cool.
also they had to draw a map from their
Mm.
location to where they found the item. And
Ooh,
so
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So we were learning mapping and
Yeah,
surveying.
very cool. Man, I
Yeah,
love that.
I had fun. I had fun. I'm telling you, I have a lot of fun at it.
So with the Tuskegee Airmen camp, so that's what it is still, right? The ones you do in the summer, that's for the Tuskegee Airmen organization group?
Yes, sir. What happened? Okay, I don't have any military background, and so they saw that I was able to reach the next generation. A lot of these are retired airmen. They don't want to talk about the P-51 flying the propeller plane. And so when they saw that the drone was just an avenue where the young people were developing a strong interest, they said, "Well, this guy is pretty good with it, and he enjoyed doing what he's doing." And so they
Yeah.
actually made me a member. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I am a member.
Alright. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is get better. It is get better and better. As I continue on with this, I tell you, it was like a part of me saying, "Well, this is my future. I'm gonna have
Oh,
to get
man,
off
dude,
the
I can
road."
you got some infectious energy too. You can
Yeah,
tell you're just excited about it,
yeah,
like, I'm sitting
oh,
here going like, "I wanna do it too,"
yeah,
I
I'll
love that.
tell you.
So,
Go ahead.
what are the age ranges you don't have? You mentioned that you went to a middle school, but for these summer camps, are these high school kids too, or is it mainly
Yeah,
middle school, or
these
what?
are high school and middle school kids, ages from 11 to 16.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, these kids, they kind of apprehensive about it. They curious, but once they get into it, they find themselves, building so much confidence in flying. I have a little contest where we'd fly from one end to the next, and we'd do the pitch and roll in the yard. And then when they come back, and they do it in such a certain amount of time, they get a trophy, the little
Mm,
toy trophy that I got from
yeah.
the dollar store. Yeah, yeah. So I give them a
Okay.
trophy, and oh man, they act like, man, they excited. It's infectious energy that I get from kids. They get
Yeah.
excited, I get excited, they get excited, and we just
Yeah.
have a good time. We just really have a
Yeah.
good time.
That's great. When you're 16, you can start to get that Part 107 certificate. Do you see any of those kids pursuing that, or is it just more just really
Oh,
intro stuff?
yes, yes. The more that they learn, the more confidence and excitement that they get out of. That's when they start thinking about what type of drone that they want to purchase. What do they want to do with the drone? And that's where I come in at. It's kind of direct them, help them narrow down career wise. How much time do you want to spend doing this? It's not something that you start off and then you say, well, it's not turning out the way I want it. I think direction and purpose is so important. So that's what I get them the direction and
Yeah.
purpose. And so
That's great.
that's allow them to say, yeah, I want to pursue this. I started up the same way. I bought my first drone, opened up the pack, read some of the instructions,
Yeah.
started to fly, and I crashed it.
Tell me about that.
Disappointed.
What was that? Tell me that story. How'd you crash your first drone?
It was a DJI Phantom 3 Pro. And
Oh, you got
oh
the
man, I
first
broke
drone I ever got and crashed was the Phantom 3 Standard. Like, yours was more expensive crash.
yes. So I was disappointed because I didn't have purpose or direction. I was just learning. I had no idea what really involved in flying.
And how did you crash? Did you fly it into a tree? What'd you do?
Exactly. I was trying to go over the tree branch, and I was eventually from the distance, a line of sight, I was too
Mhm.
far from noticing the height of that
Yeah.
tree. Yeah, and that's when I lost control. And when that drone hit
Mm.
the ground, and I saw the arm of it, I was ready to cry. I was ready to cry, but I was realizing that comes with it. If you don't
Yeah.
know how drones operate, and you're just out there flying it because there's something new, then yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
run into that.
That's tough. Like, when you just fly the drone around, you can see stuff, you can go around it, but you
Exactly.
don't realize how quickly you can lose some depth perception when it gets a little further away from you, you
Exactly.
know what I mean? You're like, "Am I 3 feet away from that branch, or am I 3 inches away from it?" Like, I can't I'm kinda close, but my story was almost worse, or not worse, but I didn't hit a tree, I hit my own house
Oh my
because I
goodness.
was I used to live in DC, and I was in these townhouses, and I just gotten into drones. I got my Phantom 3 Standard. It's like 2015. Talked my wife into letting me spend the $400. Like, "Oh, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna be able to do all this with it." And she's like, "All right." So I'm outside. It's in the wintertime. It was some snow on the ground. When you're flying it, first time you ever fly a drone, I don't know, for people listening, if you've never flown a drone, it seems pretty commonplace now, but the first time you get like a good camera drone up in the air, it's pretty
Yes.
wild. You're just like, wow. You feel like you're in a helicopter or something. So I'm up there and I'm just kind of exploring, like looking at my neighborhood, going, man, this is really cool. And
Mhm.
then we had two townhouses like back to back, so the decks all faced each other. And I
Right.
saw these like middle school kids come out on their deck and they started like saying something to me, but I felt the pressure. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to mess this up in front of these little kids. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Mm.
make me look bad, I'm gonna bring this back in. So I'm flying the drone back in. Of course, they're watching like, "Oh, let me watch
Right.
this guy screw this
Yeah,
up."
'cause you're the
So I'm
expert.
flying back. Yeah, yeah. So I'm flying it back in, and if the drone is facing you, the
Mhm.
orientation is reversed, right? Right is left,
Yes.
left is right.
Right.
And I'm like, "Ooh, I'm a little bit too close to my window here. Let me bump it away." And I went, whoop, hit the wrong way, hit it into
Mm.
my window. The drone spins, hits a snow shovel on the way down, like breaks the camera part off,
Oh
and then
my
it just lands on the ground in pieces. And those
oh
kids are just
my
like dying
goodness.
up laughing. And I'm like,
Oh
oh
my
crap. I
goodness.
just like grab my stuff, run back
Yes.
inside, had to tell my wife. I was like, "Oh, I'll go
Mm.
get it repaired." But then, man, to get that repaired, it's just almost the same price as getting a new one at that point.
Yeah.
So I had to tell her, "Listen, that won't happen again. I need to get one more. I need one more."
Dave, I want to share this story with you. This is so touching. Last year, when I was the instructor at the drone camp, one of the students there was slightly had autism. They asked me, just keep an eye on him to make sure that, he don't hurt himself with the blades and all. I noticed when he grabbed the controller, he would just push up the joystick and the drone kept going up to the ceiling. And every time he would constantly do this, he would get excited, but then he realized it's only going to the ceiling. And
Mm.
so I'm trying to be innovative. So I took a 5.5 string, took some duct tape, taped it to the
Mm.
bottom of the drone, and then I actually had a rock. Tied the other end to the rock to the floor. And then I put some duct tape on the stick so they can only fly but so high. Put some duct tape in
Mm.
front of him. Within 1 week, he was able to fly that drone about 10 feet in the air. And
Mm.
his dad was so excited. He was like, you know what? He said, I thought my son was going to tear them drones up. I thought I had to pay for what the
Mm.
damage what was done. I was learned through him. It's something that he was excited about and he
Yeah.
wanted to learn. And so that made me get more creative in how to
Yeah.
teach. Well, let me say,
Yeah.
long story, they gave me a thank you card.
Oh, wow.
And so I realized, man, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah. That's awesome to see that something as simple as a drone can like have such a meaningful
Oh my
impact to
goodness. Oh
someone,
my goodness. Yes. If you would have seen the look on his face after he learned that he was, instead of going to the ceiling, he was able to hover like 10
Mhm.
feet in the air and go forward and come back and land it. Oh my goodness. You would have thought that he was doing this for like at least a year or so.
Mhm.
And I was just so touched because I was able to reach him. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
all they wanted me
Mm.
to do was just keep an eye on him, that he don't hurt
Yeah.
himself. I saw that he wanted to learn. I saw it in his eyes. He just wanted to learn how to fly. And I'm saying to myself, man, that's how I feel.
Props to
Yeah.
you for not just pushing them to it'd be easy to, "Hey, I got a lot of kids here. I'll just kinda," like you said, "keep an eye on them." But, kudos to you
Right.
for being innovative and be like, "No, I'm gonna help this kid really make progress on his own and kinda customize it for him so that he can
Yes.
achieve this."
I had to share that with you because
No, I appreciate it.
that's what motivates me to continue on.
Yeah.
And it's not just this is a new technology of the day, but it's something that I was able to make that connection
Yeah.
using a drone to reach another child
Yeah.
that, his inspiration. This is what I want to do.
And kids remember that stuff too. You ask kids when they're older, "Hey, do you remember?" They'll have, "Oh, I had a favorite teacher who
Yes.
they helped me this way. They didn't just treat me like another number. They really invested in me." And, I'm sure
Yes.
that meant a lot to him.
I think it's all about the teacher. That's the point I'm trying to get. It's about the teacher. If the
Mm.
teacher is inspired and it involved himself really into what he does and what he's teaching, people get a lot from that.
Yeah.
They know that.
Man, that's great. If people wanted to find out, let's say someone's in the Virginia area and they want to find out about, what you're doing, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Right now, I'm working on a new website because I'm under, like
Mhm.
I said, this gentleman name is David Murphy. He's helping me build a new website. I have about 150 toy drones that I use as a giveaway. I use it as an incentive. I'm able to just use that as a tool. And
How did you get those? You just buy them on your own or did someone give them to you or
yeah,
what?
I bought some on my own. Some was donated. Do you remember
Okay.
Toys R Us?
Yeah.
Toys, yeah, Toys R Us was going out of business. And
On
so,
your own.
yeah. And so when I saw that, I took advantage of that opportunity. I
Yeah.
think then I had about 80. I bought about 80 drones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
before Toys R Us went out of business. I had it in my garage and I didn't know when and where I was going to be able to use it.
Man,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
Well, whenever you do get your website up, I'll link up to you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Um,
I can give you my email address.
sure.
It's technoclown part
All right.
5 at gmail.com.
Techno Clown Part 5. All right, we'll link it up in the show notes,
Yeah.
so
And
people have it.
back in 1991, I performed with Ringling Brothers Circus. I was a
No,
professional. Yeah, I'm not lying. I was a professional clown.
it keeps getting better and better.
I'm telling you, I was a professional clown. I went to Venice, Florida for training and
Wow,
had 2-year contract, went all over the West Coast and man, just had a ball. Had a ball.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Clown turned truck driver turned drone educator.
I'm living the life.
You got a
Yeah.
great
So
story. That's
techno
awesome.
clown.
Well, hey, I'm thrilled to have you. It's
I'm
again,
excited. Yeah.
this podcast is only as good as people we can have come on. You're bringing
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
good
Yes.
knowledge, good energy. So, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are getting their wheels turning, getting good ideas. Because the whole point of it, like I said, is just, hey, let's try to inspire some people and show them what's possible with kids and technology and drones. It's more than just learn how to fly a drone, right? It unlocks so many other different things for them.
Exactly. I'm still learning myself. I'm
Yeah.
taking some of your courses. All the courses that you offer, I'm planning to complete each one. That's my goal. I'm
All
serious.
right. I love it.
That's
I
my
love
goal.
it.
That's my goal. Starting off with the roof inspection. The next time we talk, I want to be able to say, look, these are all my certificates.
Education's the way, any shortcut you're learning and get to where you wanna go faster, so
This is something that is really dear to my heart now. The pandemic kind of shut everything down, but now I got some fire behind, a little bit of fire behind me now, and it's pushing me. I'm ready to hit turbo right now. So I'm ready
I
to take
love
it.
it.
I'm ready to take it to a new level. Matter of fact, the name of my business, I am licensed. The name of my business is I Level Up Drone. And my license is to teach and also sell retail drones.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. So that's what I'm doing in
Well, we'll
Richmond.
we'll link up that stuff too if people wanna check it out.
Yes. And like I said, one other thing, if more people would be aware of what you're doing, man, it'd be a lot easier. And then instead of being frustrated because you don't have any direction. Most
Mm,
people, they buy a drone because, it's new. But if you don't have someone be able to show them the whole operation, they're going to get discouraged. And so
yeah.
what you're doing, that's what I say. I really appreciate
Well,
what you're doing.
hey, man,
Yeah.
that's really kind of you. I appreciate you saying that. I guess before we go, if you were talking to a teacher, administrator, student, educator, they're thinking about, "Hey, I'd like the sound of drones. Maybe I would wanna do something like that in my school or whatever organization." Kinda what is piece of wisdom that you would give to them based on what you've learned and experienced?
And I'll tell you this is what I learned. You can learn a lot from YouTube, a lot of other formats, but the best knowledge and advice that I would give, I would say go to an air show. Air
Mm,
show, you actually you see how the model planes, and then they have drone competition. So you
mhm,
actually see average people. These are amateur, but they fly and they teaching and they're sharing their knowledge. We're talking about somebody where you can meet up and it's you can
mhm,
actually physically touch, get some insight. I truly recommend it. If you got air shows during the summer
mhm.
and they have drone competition, I would say go there. Go there.
Okay,
Yeah, go there
great.
because, like I said, when you're seeing more than just one person
Mhm,
flying aircraft, man, not only will you be enthused, but it just give you more incentive to say, "Hey, I can do this." And then, like I said, you be able to talk to the person. Once they land their aircraft, they don't mind sharing what it takes and what they
yeah,
did and the course they took and all that. And that would help a great deal. But actually,
yeah.
physically seeing, go to
Yeah,
an
I
air
love
show.
that. I live in Lakeland, and they do the Sun and Fun here. I'm not sure if
Oh
you're familiar with that, but
man,
it's a big fly-in, and that just
yes.
finished up, and man, I went to one of the night shows. Funny enough, I've been in the drone business for a long time, but it's the first time I've ever seen a big drone light show in person,
Come
and
on.
that is I mean, you can see it on a screen or whatever, on a
Right.
video, and it looks okay, but if you're in person, you're like, "That is wild." There it is
Exactly.
big. It
Exactly.
is really, really neat, and they had
Exactly.
these jets with fireworks coming out of the back of them,
Oh
flying around
man.
while the drone light show's going on. I'm just
Oh
like, you get
man.
fired up, man. It was really
Well,
cool.
that would be my advice. I can say
Okay.
go,
I
yeah.
love it.
I would say, yeah, go to this website, go do that. No, no.
Yeah.
Physically go to an air show.
Get yourself in front of some people with drones, and that way you can talk to
Yes,
them.
yeah. I mean, I go every year I go to various different ones,
Cool.
and I learn from different people.
I
That's what
love
I'm
it.
able to take back.
Adrian, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your wisdom. I hope to have you on again for another season if we can get another one of these
We
in.
will, yeah,
You're
definitely, definitely.
you're episode 3 of season 1, so I think we'll probably do 8 to 10 episodes, but we'll get you
Yeah.
back on again and get your updates, man. So I imagine people could, Google Adrian Cortez Mayo Senior, and there's not that many of you, you know what I mean? So thanks so
Yes.
much. We'll keep in touch, Adrian.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity.
You bet.